Hello, everybody. It is Formless Friday, apparently. Who knew Friday came so quickly? But it is Friday, and we're doing our broadcast today, right now. At 5 o'clock, we will scoot over and visit Granny D because she does here live at 5, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays at 5 o'clock. Anyway, so what's going on, everybody? What is on your hook? What is in your cup? Tell me all. I want to know everything. Because I'm a big old gossip, really. Um, I wish I had more to show in terms of real crochet progress since the last time we talked, but I don't. Um, I have restarted a few projects, and so they are in the very beginning stages, and I don't have any way. Ooh, Isla sees me. Hey, boo, I see you too. Um, I've restarted a few things, so I don't have anything to show, really. Hey, Gumdrop. But otherwise, that was a pretty sound, wasn't it? I really don't have much to talk about. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do for a whole hour? Ah! Well, for one thing, I'm going to put my headphones in. And that, my earbuds, I should call them. That way you're more sure to hear me clearly because of this built-in microphone. Anyway. Ah, gosh, I don't have much to talk about though. Nothing really. Oh, honey, I wish that was my piano. If it was, I would be playing it all day long. This is a fake background and I love it. I wish this was my house, honestly. That's my dream, actually, to have a beautiful house and a grand piano and a yarn room and a nice kitchen for cooking and storage and things. I don't need a lot of guest space because I don't really want that many people visiting me, but at least not all at once. But that would be my dream if that were my piano. Isn't it gorgeous? At least from a distance. I can't see from here what brand piano it is, but still, it's gorgeous. I have an electronic piano right here beside me, but you can't see it, and that's okay too. And sometimes I do play it. Oh, Isla, you're asking about frogging a gift. Do you mean that a gift that somebody gave you, but you frog it to just harvest the yarn? I haven't done it, but I certainly wouldn't say no. Hey, Cuppy. Actually, that's a pretty good topic. Is harvesting yarn because there was a time when I was interested in dyeing. I'm not really all that interested. There are people who hand dye yarn and do amazing work, and I don't really need to enter into that field because there's enough still to learn in the field that I'm doing now. So, but people recommended like finding nice 100% wool sweaters from Goodwill or something and just frogging those completely, or using the complete garments as practice for the dyeing. But I haven't done that, and that's okay. I don't have to. It is what it is. So, oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Mm. So often you catch me like right after a nap. So my forehead looks, well, my forehead never really looks good. But, sometimes I'm just a little sleepy. Hey, Crochet by Night. Hey, Shatika. Um, anyway, yeah. So, as I was saying, so often I'm just sleepy and my forehead looks a little icky. But that's just my forehead anyway. What else is going on? Oh, that's an interesting question, Isla. She said she asks whether I myself would be offended if someone harvested yarn from a handmade gift I had given them. Honestly, first, don't ever tell me you have done that. Second, if you do, it's going to vary depending upon the actual item itself. And that's got to be the truth. But it's a really good question. Uh, mm, sorry for that yawn. You wouldn't think I just had a nap. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. It's going to vary depending upon the amount of work I myself put into it and the amount of expense that the raw materials were. Hey, Lori. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry for yawning so much. Um, yeah, a lot of it really does depend upon the item itself for me. If I just shot something off in a moment, I'm not really going to care that much. If I put months into like a handmade sweater or something with you or a recipient you had in mind, um, in my head, then it would it would make a big difference. And exactly, Gumdrop says that our time is worth everything, really. I mean, the raw materials, the yarn, that stuff gets really expensive. But at the same time, our time it really has a much greater value than the yarn. It really does. And people don't realize that. That's why I myself, I don't sell my stuff. I give it away or I donate it. I don't sell it because I'm not going to have that conversation with anybody. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to have that conversation. Tank has a good point. If you give something to somebody else, it's no longer yours. They can do whatever they want to do with it. That is true. That is true. That does not always unleash the emotional involvement to that piece. Okay, Lori has a good point. If it's a clothing piece that no longer fits and the recipient works it into something that now fits, then that would be okay. I would agree. I would agree. But in general, I would also agree with Tank that once you give it away, it's no longer yours. You no longer have a voice in what happens to it. They could burn it. They could toss it in the dumpster. Just don't let you see it. I've heard stories. People have told stories about seeing their gifts in the dumpster when they went to visit their friends. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Tank. Mm. So, I mean, I'm I've never pretended to be in a great position financially, but at the same time, I'm not ready to bargain with people about my crochet goods. I would rather donate them. I can afford to send them to somebody who needs them. I can afford the postage, usually, or I can afford um, to give it away if this organization or that one is having a yard sale or a craft sale, rather than bargaining myself for the item. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? My aim, ideally, is to really make, I don't know if I want to even say a living, but to at least have an income based on my crochet patterns. I have one that's going to go up today. I have others that are going to go up in the coming week. Um, and I have a bunch that are there already, but that's not the point. Hey, Nani May. Oh, Isla, I know exactly what you're saying. I used to follow some of those thrifters on YouTube and Instagram, because I wanted to get into doing that myself, not necessarily with the handmade stuff, but with, everything else that they thrift and resell. Um, but by golly, that's a whole lot of work. They put a lot of work into it. Um, it would be nice if they can pick up your stuff from a yard sale or a thrift shop or something and give you credit for it. But in the end, it's not your business. I guess that's all there is to it. It's not your business. Once you donate it, it's not your business. Once you give it away, it's not your business. Once you sell it, it's not your business. So I don't need the heartache of, talking with people about the value of my stuff. Because my stuff is pretty valuable. What do we got here? Okay, those 2 emails that just came in are not valuable, but doesn't matter. Oh, God. I just put a piece of candy into my mouth. And it's very tasty. Oh, gumdrop, good for you. What did the person respond? Did she buy it or not? Or did she just walk away? That's another reason I just don't do that stuff. Because the last time I was paid by the hour, which was it was 10 years ago. But still, it was the last time I was paid by the hour. It was $65 an hour. So if you consider, regardless of the materials, what goes into any garment you're going to have on sale, a hat, call it an hour. It might take 15 minutes, it might take an hour, it might take 2 hours, but call it an hour. That's going to be 65 bucks. Nobody's going to pay 65 bucks for a hat. Tank, I think that's a great way to think. We're all striving. All of us are striving. I want to make a living with patterns and social media because I love creating patterns and doing social media. And honestly, if I never had to leave the house, especially if my house looked like this fake background, if I never had to leave my house, I'd be fine with it. Um, Other people, they're striving too. I mean, we had a handyman here um, installing some ceiling light fixtures. Um, some of them caused him a whole bunch of heartache because they were really cheap and didn't really have all the parts included and everything. But and he also had to come back, and there were some wiring issues because I don't know what. But now everything's okay. So in the end, he's striving. So we paid him what he asked, and actually a little more. And in fact, my sister packaged up some baked goods to give him as well. So I'm going yesterday when I found out the problems. I'm going. We gave you brownies, but it still doesn't work. Ah! But it works now. It's fine. He came back today. It's fine. I did. I was burning candles in my bedroom last night, and now I have wax drippings everywhere. If y'all know a way to fix wax drippings or get them up from like hardwood and that sort of thing, or out of fabric, please let me know. Hey Lulu, I'm not sure I've seen you before, but I'm glad to see you now. Hey mobs. So anyway, yeah, my latest question had to do with candle drippings on like a hardwood table, hardwood floors, a cushion, that sort of thing. If you know how to fix that, let me know. Iron on fabrics is what you suggest, Lulu? My sister probably has the answers. Hmm, that sounds like a good idea, Cuppy. Well, the reason I had candles burning in my bedroom last night was because of the overhead fixture that he had put in. Um, it was with the light switch turned off, it was still turning, it was on. So I flicked the switch to see if I turned the light switch on, it would do anything. Guess what? No current in the room ran at all. The whole breaker for that room in the front hall was off, and there was no turning it back on because I checked the breaker box. And so he came back today and fixed it, and it seems to be working properly now. I posted some pictures on Instagram. But anyway, that's why I had uh, the candles and my cell phone in combination to light me about last night. Hey, Marsh Knitting. Tank, he's a handyman. He's not a contractor. Um, he's genuinely a really, really good guy. At the same time, I don't think we'll have him back because of this issue. Not only that, when he put in the lights, he left all the trash behind him. He didn't bother to clean up anything from any of the boxes. So, we probably won't have him back, which hurts me because he's a genuinely good guy. But there are other good guys out there. Tank, I understand how what you're saying. It sounds like a fire hazard. The candles or the lights? I am hoping he was on the phone several times today with a licensed electrician um, friend of his. So I'm hoping that there is no genuine fire hazard. But the candles might have been a fire hazard. That's why my sister got concerned and pissed me off to no end last night. Um, yeah. I don't know. We might have, we'll probably have someone else in to do some other work. We might have that person check up behind this guy on the wiring for these lights. I don't know. I understand your Tank. I understand your concern. Right now, it is what it is. It's working today. If it doesn't work tomorrow, we're not going to call him. We're going to call someone else, a licensed electrician. Well, Tank, send your husband over to my house. I can't remember where you are, though. No, copy. I checked the breakers, actually. The one in this room where I am right now, this is the middle room right now. It was on with the light switch turned off, and there was no way to turn the overhead light on, or rather off. It was on permanently. There was no way to switch it off. And then in the front room, it was on with the light switch turned off. And then when I turned the light switch off to see if it would turn it, uh, um, would make a change, everything like, that entire room plus the front hall just like lost power. But still, the breaker box did not show any kind of thing. Oh, Tank, you're 40 miles from Ash. Oh, Tank, I really, really want to move to that area of the state. No, seriously, Tank, I do want to move to that part of the state. Regardless of any of these household issues, I really do want to live in that part of the state. Mhm. Well, these houses were built probably 25 years ago. There's no assurance that they were wired properly at that time. My mother, I think, mother and father were probably the second owners for this particular house. And I have no idea what was actually going on at the time, what was code at the time. So I don't know um, what kind of wiring was going on, what kind of accountability was going on. Well, Tank, everybody has his priorities, you know, especially for the work site, the work, whatever he does, the work prep. If it works for him, it works for him. That's fine. I hate autocorrect too. It's worse for me on the phone than on the computer. Isola your 38-year-old house. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's all I have to say. You know, sometimes people find issues and sometimes they don't. It varies from house to house, it varies from builder to builder. state to state. Hey, seeing stitches. We were just talking about having contractors in to do work because I had someone in this week to do some ceiling light fixtures because I simply cannot do a ladder and I cannot allow my sister to do a ladder, although she has more courage than I do, but I don't want her on a ladder. Um, and so we had a guy in to do some fixtures, and then there were problems, and he came back today to fix the problems, and the problems seem to be okay now. 2 hours each way? That's awful. I used to drive almost that long when I was working in Manhattan and living in northern Westchester, but I used that time. I was studying a foreign language at the time, so I used that time to listen to recordings and just, do the whole feedback thing. Because there's, at least in my experience with foreign language, there's a barrier between what you understand in your head and what you can just enunciate in a moment. And with those recordings I was listening to that asked for verbal feedback, it made a big, big difference. But yeah, a long, long, long drive. Tank, that just seems like a really long drive to me, especially if he's not on the clock while he's driving. Anyway, tell me what's on your hook, people. What's in your cup? Tell me everything that's going on in your lives, because I've been talking about a little about my life a little bit here. Tank, you said you're fitting to cook dinner. What's going to be for dinner? And what time should I be over? Oh, dear me, that doesn't sound good, the 30,000. Okay, Lori's gonna stay home this weekend while her husband is off site for a project or for work. So, what do you have planned for the weekend? Are you gonna have um, do you have a project in mind for the whole weekend? Isola says, "Too many projects, too little time." Yeah, I'll go with that. Some sort of pasta tank. I've always viewed pasta as, a vehicle for really nice meat sauce or cheese or something. Pasta by itself, it's okay. It's really more for me about the cheese or the meat or the sauce. I was just thinking about what's in the pantry right now, but we have a bunch of leftovers in the fridge as well. I made on Sunday the most amazing casserole you can imagine. It had corned beef, it had cabbage, it had potatoes, it had other vegetables. And so the bottom layer was the cabbage. Then it was the corned beef. Then it was the carrots. I might have gotten the carrots and the corned beef mixed up, but it doesn't really matter in the end. And then it was the mashed potatoes that had Irish cheddar, or at least, a nice sharp white cheddar mixed into the mashed potatoes. And then as a casserole in the oven. Everything was cooked already, but it still had to go into the oven and cook as a whole. By golly, that was good. And then and then I had all of this broth that was left over from the corned beef. And just yesterday, I made the most delicious soup from that broth. I cut up some more vegetables. I did your basic, a mirepoix of um, onion, celery, carrot. Then there was one zucchini in the fridge, and so I cut that up. And then we had uh, some small baby red potatoes, and I put those in. I put in 1 can of, like, V8, an 8-ounce serving of V8. I put in a can of diced tomatoes. Oh my god, that's the best soup I have ever made, ever. I mean, I would totally recommend this. Starting out with the corned beef casserole, keeping the broth from the corned beef. When you make the corned beef casserole, you use the broth to cook all the vegetables, but you don't drain or discard the broth. You keep that broth. You use that broth to make this vegetable soup that I just described. Oh my God. It was so good. We won't need to freeze this soup because I tell you, I'm gonna finish it very, very soon. Oh, hey, Michael, I didn't see you. And anybody else I didn't notice coming in? Okay, Michael, do I know you? I would like to know you because it's always good to know other men in the world. Mm, well, that's a very broad statement, but other men in the social media world and other men in the yarn world, especially. Spicy V8? Oh, that sounds good too. My sister doesn't go for spice as much as I do. I always have to season for her. Lori is going rearranging kitchen cabinets and going through everything and donating stuff. Tank, Tank, tell us more about your stitch markers. Tank, if you have photos of your stitch markers, please post them on the Bearded Yarn Dudes Facebook, community. I would love to see them. Anybody, you're always welcome to post pictures on the Bearded Yarn Dudes Facebook community. I have the Facebook page, which is basically just for news. And most of the time, it's really just a reproduction or a repost of what I post on Instagram. And then on the Facebook community, it's supposed to be about community, really. Hey, Jet In, glad to see you. Oh, Isla, are you leaving us? I'm so sorry. Tank, who's taken? Most people are taken. Oh, Lori, that sounds like a great gift. A drop spindle and wool. I have never spun anything. It fascinates me, but I don't understand how to do it. And you know what? There's still enough to learn with crochet that I can live with having another field of the craft world that I don't know yet. Keep getting interesting. Ha! Oh, Lori, I've been doing in the past week or two, I've been doing a lot of reorganization, uh, which actually really has helped a lot. But you could not believe how much dust it has stirred up and how much sneezing and sniffling I have done as a result. Because, I don't think I have ever been um, diagnosed as clinically allergic to anything, but dust will get me every time. Okay. It's 4:51 according to my clock, Eastern. So at 5 o'clock, we all need to remember that we're going to see Granny D. Well, Cuppy is talking about pollen. Yeah, there are certain seasons. I say I have seasonal allergies to every season. Um, but most of the time, if I take some sort of an over-the-counter thing, it will work fine. But on the other hand, I have heard or read about studies that show that pollen counts have risen consistently year to year in the past decade. Geez, I wish that background behind me is were my real house. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I wouldn't even need a bedroom. I'd sleep on that sofa. Oh my goodness, Lori. That sounds excellent for your SCA. I know what that means, but I can't remember the exact words, but I know what it means. You're doing the spindle and learning to spin. Society for Creative Anachronism? Is that what it is? Lori, you had sinus surgery. Oh my gosh, that sounds very drastic. Tank, you've made 300 what in the last month? Stitch markers? Is that what you mean? Um, yeah, sinus surgery. That sounds very drastic. So, that must have been a very bad problem going into it. And I'm, thankful that I do not have such a problem right now. It's just dust, normal allergens, that sort of thing. Okay, anyway, I'm going to in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna close up shop. I want to remind everybody to go over to Granny D, and I'm gonna post her link again. And then also, I'm going to remind everybody I have a shop in Ravelry. I have at least one pattern that's going live today and a few more in the next week. Um, and also members, there are members only benefits, which include early access to some of the Monday Men interviews and discounts to the Ravelry um, patterns. But as we are, let's see what. Ooh. Oh gosh. Yeah, Cuppy, I've seen videos where they pulled the whatever it is that's inside after any kind of nasal surgery of, and it does look like a tampon, and they're pulling it out, and it seems like it's a great relief when it comes out, but it does look like a tampon, doesn't it? Hey, Lori Armstrong. Okay, everybody should know how much I love Lori Armstrong because she is wonderful. Well, I love everybody who is in the room now. I love everybody who subscribes and follows and becomes a member of the channel and all of that stuff. So, because we're going to go over and see Granny D right now, I'm just going to say that we're going to call it a day and like, subscribe, comment, share all the standard YouTube crap, and keep coming back. And thank you, everybody who is here, especially if you made it all the way through on a replay. Thank you, especially. Bye bye now.